See the other camera, which kind of sucks, but good to be here. It's okay. I think so. Let's look this one out. I think that works. Okay. I think it works. Now this one shows, I don't know why that never happened. Just to figure this out. Oh shoot. Words everywhere. Nothing's working out the way it's supposed to. Okay. Oh, I have no occupant without protection. Okay. Just gonna try and move. Oh my goodness. Okay. Sorry. My screen is being a little difficult today. All right. It really works. I think that works. Okay, we're just gonna go with that. And I'm gonna fix this so it's not so. There we go. So, Wache Ani Buju, welcome to our so long today. We are going to move some stuff out of the way. Just to get it out of the way. All right. So I don't, we're doing a so long. We are doing the Possibilities quilt by Charisma Horton. You can join in should you desire to. You have to purchase the pattern. No cutting instructions are given. You have to buy the pattern yourself. This is part of one of the quilts that I wanted to make this year. I think it's on, let me see, is it on my chart of things? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Possibilities BOM is the 14th one. I don't know if I filled out my little paper. Well, while we wait for some people. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, so that's what we're starting. It's one of my 16 quilts for this year. I am recording it on YouTube, so it'll be live. It'll be on YouTube as well. My glasses are dirty. But if you need to go back and refer to it, you can. Again, no cutting instructions will be given. It's more of a technique type thing. And there are, of course, tips and tricks always in patterns, and you can grab those. You need the pattern in order to make this. I think I've got everything kind of, I don't know if I'll need glue, but I'll grab the glue. I think I've got everything kind of organized. All right. Okay, I think we're good. All right. So hello and welcome to my sew along. My name is Vanessa, and I am the founder and CEO of Quilts for Survivors, a nonprofit organization based out of Timmins, Ontario. One thing that I like to do is share what I'm working on with you. So we're doing this sew along. It'll always be the first week of the month. And give or take, it's the second day of the month. So we're not doing too bad. We're going to come together. It is a 12-month block of the month. So every month we're going to get together and we're going to sew some of the blocks. We will not sew all of the blocks live. You will have to just go and make them throughout the month. You have the whole month to make them. There's no time limit. There's no quilty police who are going to come and say, hey, you're not done. But hopefully by December, we'll have a beautiful top and maybe even a quilt if we get time to take it and quilt it. It is 96 by 96, so it's a large quilt. It's not all foundation paper, but a lot of it is, but it's gentle foundation paper. I really believe that if you've sewn, you can do this. You don't have to be an expert at foundation paper. You don't even have to like foundation paper, but we're going to get a beautiful quilt. In the package, you will get all of the pattern, all of the things, the papers that you need to print in order to do the pieces that are foundation paper. And at the back, I had trouble finding it. So at the front of the pattern, they have the color chart, but it doesn't tell you how much fabric you need. Hey, Missy. At the very back, it tells you how much fabric you need. Okay, so this pattern is by Charisma Horton. We don't have permission to share it other than I'm just going to be sewing it and we'll be sewing it together. So you have to grab a pattern. It's about $35, I believe, and you can get it off of her site or off of Etsy or somewhere, wherever you buy your patterns. It is a downloadable pattern, so you can get it and have it instantly. I have some of my fabrics cut for this sew along for this month's block. We have to make 24 blocks. Okay, we're going to make 24 blocks. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, yeah, 24 blocks, little itty bitty blocks, and we're going to take 4 of them and sew a larger block like that. These will be 12 and a half unfinished blocks when we sew the 4 pieces together. I do not have all of my fabrics here. I was trying to use up my stash and I realized that I didn't have every color. And I thought, do you have going to right now? YT, go. I'm not sure what you're asking, Missy. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong, or maybe I'm too tired. I stayed up too late last night. Do you have your YouTube? Yes, YouTube is on. It's going. So you can watch there or you can watch here. It's recording and we'll save it. So I'm going to start and I'm going to make some of them, but I don't have all of my fabrics. So I'm not going to make everything. Okay? All of the blocks. And we won't be able to make all of the blocks together anyways. So we'll just get started. So there are instructions on page 4 how to do this. We're going to do that and we're going to see how it goes. So it tells you how to do it. So what you need, I think I'm going to write beside these. There's a couple of different blocks. I want to write what is needed. So I think this is the orange. That's got to be orange. So this is purple, green, and orange. So I can't make those ones because I don't have those colors. I have the purple, the light purple, the blue, and the red. So purple, red, light blue, which is actually this color. And okay, I can make these ones. I think this is orange as well. Is that the orange as well, or is that the pink? That must be pink. Pink centers. So we're making these. This one is definitely yellow. That's an orange. And then the green. Where's the green one? If you make 2 of each as shown for a total of 6. You only make 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, okay. So this is orange. They didn't even use green. So now they've confused me because there's no green. Okay, so this is pink. Pink center. Okay, we're only making 6 blocks. Okay, we're good to go. So a little bit of confusion there on my part, but again, I've never made this pattern, so we're learning it together. This is the pattern. You can take a quick screenshot of it or pause it, grab that. That's the one you need to do this, and we're going to be doing it every month from now until the end of the year. So a fun project to do, something fun to do. We'll do it at different times throughout the month or throughout the year, around the first week. And I'll try to give you a heads up when I know that I'm going to do it so that you're not left wondering. So let's grab a couple of these foundation papers. I printed them off just today and I lost my paper scissors. I have them somewhere and I don't know where they went. Oh, they're over. Still need to clean up my sewing room after the holidays. It's a little wild in here. It's not super messy, but it's a little wild. So I'm going to cut off, I guess I should show you what I'm doing. I'm going to cut off the top of this. And then I don't need these. So this is just, I use just regular printer paper. I don't buy expensive printer paper. I buy a basic printer paper. So that's what this is, just a basic Oops, sorry. My one card hit the other card. I think we're okay. So this is just a basic paper. So nothing too fancy. So we're going to start with one. We're going to do one at a time. I'm going to go as slow as I can, and you just follow along. You should have your instructions, and you should have, maybe you're like me and you just have some of the colors. I'm missing, what am I missing? The dark green and the light orange. Oh, no, I cut the dark green. I'm just missing orange. So it's just one color. I can make almost all the blocks. Okay, so on your printout, you're going to have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and you sew in that order. So here's our line for number 1, our line for joining 1 and 3, and our line for joining 1 and 4. Okay. So you can add a 1/4 inch ruler, or you can use any other ruler that you want. Doesn't really, that's long enough. It's totally at your discretion what you want to use. I've used both, and it works. These are obviously easier. Oh, it's up there, I think. Because they're made for foundation paper. Okay, one thing we're going to do is we're going to lower our stitch length to 1.5. You can use a 90 needle if you want. I don't know that I'm going to change my needle. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to fold on the crease, fold on the other crease, all those lines. I'm going to crease all of these lines, these pre-stitch lines. I'm just going to crease them a little bit. It won't take very long. If all of this extra paper bothers you, you can cut it off. Like, you don't need all of this extra paper. So you could just take it off. If it bothers you, if it doesn't, just leave it, because it's, as long as you don't take out any lines. So whenever you're doing a foundation project, you can go up. I wouldn't go, I'd leave a good space between the lines. See how there's that dotted line and then there's your stitch line. I would go to there, but I wouldn't leave anything else. Okay, I wouldn't have everything too crazy. So now we need 1. So now we need to look at our pattern, and 1 is red or dark light red. So we're going to make 2 of each. 22. 1, 2. I don't know. Oh, you're going to make 2 the same way. So let's focus on making 2. We're going to make 2 the exact same way. So we're going to make 2. So I'm going to do 2 at a time, because less chance of messing it up if I make 2. So I'm going to make, I'll show you in one section here. I realize I didn't show you that. So these are all, I gotta cover this up because you can't see all these instructions. So this is what we're working on. So I'm gonna start, I don't have any orange, so I'm not making this one. All right. I'm gonna start here, and I have to make 2 of these. So I'm gonna use, I'm using a green instead of a light blue, red in the center, purple, and then light purple. So I'm gonna make 2 of these blocks because I need to make 2 of each of these. Okay, so I'm gonna make 2 of these and 2 of these. So I'm gonna do them the exact same way. So that's the one that I'm making with the light red, the light blue, the purple, and the light purple. Okay, so that's what I'm working on. All right, so we're gonna start. We're gonna start by laying down. Now these are solids. Sometimes you can tell, sometimes the solids you can tell which is the front, which is the right side, which is the wrong side. Sometimes you can't. So we're gonna lay this down. I want to cover all of number 1. So I want to make sure that I'm covering all of number 1. Okay, there is instructions in the pattern on how to lay it out. I'm just gonna, there's a bit of a crease in that, so I'm just gonna press that. So just lay it out. You can put a little bit of a dab of glue. I have like a glue stick here. You can put a dab of glue right in the center there, and then just lay it out. If you want, you can use a pin. You can use whatever you need to get your fabric to stay there. I have some pins here. I'm not a big pinner. Actually, these aren't these things. They'll work. Doesn't matter. I usually use a smaller pin, but I'm not sure what those are. Sometimes I don't remember where I put things. And then I'm all, what did I do here? It's so hot in this room. Hot here today. Okay, anyways, I have that done. So I'm not too sure. Okay. Where I put those other pins. I haven't done any foundation paper since I finished my last one. And this is only my second quilt completely with well, it's not even completely foundation paper. There is some traditional. Okay, so we have one down. Now, let's look at our diagram. So this goes this way. This is always the upper left corner, where this part here, because you want all your writing and numbers to be facing you at the right direction. You don't want anything sideways. So this is how your block's always going to be. And that's how they have them on here. Just be mindful of when they do rotate them. So be mindful and make sure that we rotate them. But for these two blocks, this is what we need. So let's grab another dab of glue. Doing it twice too will help with instructions for you guys, I hope. After this class, if you want to send me a message and let me know how it went for you and what worked and what didn't. Okay, because that's important for me as well. Okay, so we have our piece. It's laying the way it shows in the picture. So I'm making sure that I'm pointing my tip here the way they have theirs pointed. So number 2 is first, which is a light blue, which is for me, is this green color. So I need 2 of those. If your pieces are a little bit wavy or have some creases in them, you can always just give them a quick little press just to ensure that, they're nice and accurate. Now, these pieces are cut larger, so you'll have room. If you find that they're not large enough, make adjustments the next time you do one. I cut mine, some of them were cut at 1/4, like, I don't know, 1 1/4. I cut it at 1 1/2. That is obviously not the size because they're not that small. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler and you're going to, this has a nice place where I can bring the fabric back. You're going to fold it over. Then it has this 1/4 inch. If you are using a regular ruler, you just need to line up your 1/4 inch on that stitch line. You do need a rotary cutter. And you're going to cut off your seam allowance. Save all your scraps or don't, it doesn't matter. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your green piece or your light blue piece and you're going to lay it on here. And that will give you your seam allowance. And then I pin it, but you need to pin on the paper side so that your pin doesn't get stuck in your feed dogs or it doesn't get stuck under your pressure foot. So you just line it up. Got a little bit. Line it up and then pin it. Okay. And then that's ready to go. We're going to stitch it and we're going to do it again. So you're going to take your piece. Looking at your diagram, you know where your next color needs to go. You're going to fold it over on that stitch line because we're going to stitch right on those lines. I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch away from that line that we just made. I'm going to trim it. Then I'm going to flip it around so that the fabric is facing up, putting right sides together, laying it, just lining it up with that cut piece of fabric, right, lining it up right with that fabric. It's going to hang over the edges, but that's what we want. We want to have a little bit of wiggle room because we need that seam allowance. Okay, and then you're going to pin it. Or, I mean, you don't have to pin it, but I have found it's much easier, especially with a long piece like this. Is a very long seam. Best to pin it. Then you're going to go over to the machine and we're going to sew between 1 and 2. Piece 1 and piece 2, we're going to stitch right on this line. right down here. We're just going to stitch it. I'm using a off-white thread. I'm using Aurifil 2309. That's what I normally sew with. I like it. And I'm going to start just before this, just a little bit before, somewhere in here. I'm going to start somewhere in between these two lines. I'm going to start stitching, and then I'm going to stitch all the way down and stitch a little bit off somewhere in here. And then I'll cut my thread. You cannot chain piece with foundation paper. It's very difficult, and you're just stitching all over paper, and it just makes a mess. So I actually cut my thread when I do this. And it's slower because I'm using a smaller stitch length. I'm doing a 1.5, which is what's recommended, because then the papers will rip off easy. Okay. Okay. So there you can see I've stitched right on the paper, right through it, and it comes out the other side. I'll do the other one because I have to make 2 of these. We won't be able to get everything done today, but we'll get started. So stitching right on that line. And cut it once we get over. So a little bit before, start a little bit before the line you're going to sew on, and stop a little bit after the line you're going to sew on. Okay, then you can take out your pins. Now this is your preference. You can find something, a non-heated pressing tool. You can press with your fingers. You can, whatever. You can do whatever. I use the hot iron. Some people don't. I have no issues. I've never had any issues. And I did a whole big, huge quilt, pressing right on the paper, and I didn't have any issues. So it's up to you. But I find it just is easier for me. I get a nicer thing if I press it with the hot iron. All right. Okay. All right. So now we've done 1 and 2. So we have 2 pieces together. That's how lovely they look. Isn't that pretty? All right. It looks weird, but don't worry about how it looks. It actually looks really great. Okay. So again, we're going to keep our point of our triangle pointed in the right direction according to the picture on the pattern. So follow that. I have to make 2 of each, it says. So I'm going to make 2 of those. So now we've got 1 and 2. Now we're going to go over to 3. So 3 is, you can cut these threads if bothering you. But sometimes they're really long and they can get in the way. Okay. So now we need to do 3. So we're going to do 3. So we're going to take our ruler and we're going to crease along that line, even though we've already creased it. It's good to just make sure it's creased nice, as accurate as you can get it. It's okay if it's a little bit off because you are going to sew right on that line. This just helps with your seam element. So there's our 1/4-inch seam. And then we're going to put dark purple up there. So I'm going to press, I'm just going to give these a quick press. Not that they're super wrinkly, but just, get them nice and pressed so that they're ready. I have more than 2 pieces here, but anyways, I guess I do have more than 2 pieces. Okay, so now we're going to lay this, line it up with our straight edge here. And then fold it back, put a pin in it. Okay, so now we're ready to stitch right on this line. I'll use my thing. So right on this line between section 1 and section 3. And we're almost done. So that's not too bad. So let's do that again. You're going to crease that line. You're going to take add a 1/4 inch because this has a ridge as a 1/4 inch. If you don't have this type of ruler, you just take a ruler and you set your 1/4 inch right on that folded piece of paper, and then you trim from that. And then you get your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay. Then you're going to take the same color because I'm making two blocks exactly the same. Solids sometimes are hard to tell right and wrong, so just do your best. Lay it out, matching up your edges of your fabric together. Put a pin in it. I recommend a pin. You can put more, but one usually is enough just to hold it together. And you're going to go to your machine. Remember, we're set at 1.5 inch stitch length. And we're going to start a little before and sew all the way down the line and stop just a little bit after. That's so when you pull the paper off, it doesn't come apart. And the smaller stitch length makes it easier to rip the paper off. I'm going to cut my threads and remove it. So again, starting a little bit before, stitching right on that line. Cut. Take your pin out. And then we're going to go press this back. Okay, see how it looks? Again, you can finger press it. You can use a rolly thing. I use an iron. I just find that works better because I get a really good crease. And with these larger pieces, I wouldn't want my pressing to mess it up. I'm going to make sure it's nice. And you are going to have extra fabric. You are going to have overhang. There is a bit more waste to foundation paper. That's just part of it. But this quilt is beautiful, and we'll have a beautiful quilt once it's done. And we'll learn a new technique, possibly. Now, we have done our 1, 2, and 3. So we have 2 stitch lines here. We're making 2 of these. So we have 2 of them. We have both of them done. So this is the back of the block. This is the front of the block. How cute is that? And it's going to make little stars. The reason there's purple and light blue is where it's placed in the finished quilt. So I'll show you the top. So here you can see there's purple in the corners. There's purple here, and then there's some light blue, I guess, up in this corner. And there's some dark purple in here, and then there's some other blues in there. So kind of fun. Good to know where your blocks are going. We will assemble the quilt once all the blocks are made, but we're going to make the blocks. So we have to make 4 quadrants, 4 units in order to make 1 complete block. Okay. So looking again at our pattern, making sure that our tip, the tip of our triangle, as I'm going to call this the tip of our triangle there, right up here, and our words are going this way. We want to make sure that it looks like the block that we're working on, that it's pointed in the right direction. Now in number 4, we're going to put a light purple, if that's what we chose, or whatever you chose. I'm trying to stick to the colors that are here. I did change my light blue to this green simply because I had a ton of this green. And I didn't really have a lot of light blue, and it was a lot of fabric. It was, it was a bit of yardage, so I just used a fabric that I had. So that's the only thing I think that I've changed is I went from light blue to this julep color. So then you're going to take your ruler and we're now going to sew section 4, which is connected to section 1. So we're going to crease along that stitch line. Now, see here, I have a little bit of thread coming up. I'm just going to gently tuck that down just so it lays flat. And I'm going to cut my, I don't know that I need to cut all of that. We're just going to cut it. We're just going to cut right on. And we can just cut that off. We don't need it. Those are pieces. The bigger pieces, if you want, you can keep. I'm going to keep anything that I can get at least a 1.5 inch out of. So some of these I can get a little, like a 1.5 inch square. I might not get very many, but I think I'm going to do that and use them in a future project. So I've trimmed that. Then I'm going to take my light purple. I'm going to line it up along that stitch length. There's a lot of room on that side. How much is on this? I'm going to just kind of center it and then pin it. Always pin on the paper side. Otherwise, your pin could interfere with how you stitch it. So there's one done. Lining it up with that raw edge that we just trimmed. Let's do that again. So placing it on the line, folding it back, getting a good crease in it, adding that 1/4 inch, just cutting it off. You don't have to worry too much about it. So cut it off, throw those out, they're too small. Then you're going to take your light purple. That's the right way. You're going to put it along that straight edge there, and you're going to pin it. Now, if this isn't perfectly straight, like it's not perfectly matched up, it doesn't matter. This is your seam allowance. What we want to make sure is that our piece goes over here and goes over here. We want to make sure that we cover that, and that when we lift up our piece, when we unfold our piece, we want to make sure that it covers this whole section. And that's why they're, a bit cut bigger. They're a little bigger. You can cut them bigger if you need to, but she does have a generous size. I did cut, like I said, I don't like cutting a 1/4 inch. So if it was a 6 1/4, I cut it 6 1/2. I'm not dealing with quarters. It's hard to, you don't have 6 1/4 inch ruler, but you have a 6 1/2. So I would rather save my brain than worry about all the measurements. So that's, excuse me, kind of how I do that. So that's done now. Let's do the last one here. So we have to make 2 of these. We're going to make 2 of these. So this is the star that we're making right here. That's the star that we're making, the one here in the middle. We're making all these 4 things twice. We're going to do twice. We get 2 of them. That's the one I'm going to make live on here. I don't have the orange to make these, and I'll just make this one right now. I will come back live and make the other ones throughout the month. But for today, I'm just going to make this one red star. That's it. That's all I'm going to make. I think that's all I have time for. But it's the same process over and over every quadrant, because it's 4 quadrants to make that particular star block. Every section is done the same. The only thing we have to be mindful of is our color placement. So making sure that our triangle point is pointed in the direction of the picture, and then that will help us determine if it's where the other colors go in relation to that center. So let's go press these. Just roll it back, get it as flat as you can. Now the piece is longer. In this case, this piece is longer than what we stitched. Just press it as best you can. All right. Press it as best you can. My iron never touches the paper. My iron only touches the fabric and never touches the paper, ever. Okay. Sorry, I thought I had a message, but it was not an important message. Okay. So now you're going to come back here and you're going to trim it. So let's talk about trimming it. These are trimmed to, it doesn't tell you. I think I know what they're trimmed to. It doesn't tell you. The pattern doesn't tell you. Maybe it does in the other instructions. Let me see. No. It doesn't tell you how big to make each section. So I'll tell you, because it's not even in the pattern. 6 1/2. They're going to be 6 1/2. So actually, they're not quite 6 1/2. They're 6 1/4. Oh, they're 6 1/4. 6 1/4. So what you're going to do is take a ruler. Any ruler will work. I'm using a square ruler, but any ruler will work. You're going to cut on the dotted lines. That is where you're going to trim. If you cut on this straight line here, then you'll lose your seam allowance. So cut on the dotted lines. You're going to square it up on the dotted lines. So you're going to cut nice and clear. It's okay to use your rotary cutter and cut through some of this paper. It's okay. It doesn't really affect it too much. Some people have use a different rotary cutter for paper and fabric. I use my same one. And if it gets dull, if my blade starts to get dull, I just change it. I'd rather do that. So I'm going to keep some of these larger pieces. Like I said, if I can get a 1.5 inch strip, I'm going to. I need my bigger garbage. So then just rotate it. Again, lining it up on those dotted lines. It should be about 6 1/4 from what I can see. Checking. I'm going to make sure I don't cut too far because I'll cut off that over there. There, just making sure it's all cut. I should get something to put these on. I have a tray. I don't, but I can get a tray. One thing I love is they're little lunch trays. They come in a variety of sizes. I got it off of Amazon. It works great for keeping track of things, keeping your fabric in place. So you're not running around looking for it. So now it's finished. So it's trimmed. Here's my stitch line that I'm going to use to sew them together. Oh, my food is coming. Lunch. I haven't had lunch yet. Okay, so that one's done. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's part of my star. So when we're done, my star, the top is going to have purple, the bottom is going to have white, and this one side has white and one side has the light blue, or this, in my case, this green. Not to confuse you. You follow your color scheme. Don't worry about mine, because mine is whatever it is. And when I went and bought some fabric for it, I picked, I don't know, whatever looked like dark green or orange or whatever, or yellow. There's a lot of colors that I didn't have. Cut very straight, so I'm gonna clean it up. I'm gonna get my bigger birch. I'll move it a little closer, just so it's easier. I guess I can put it there. Put it there. Okay, easier to discard. I can just sweep it right off. That's okay. It's just some of this. And I can just sweep it right onto. Put the fabric I want to keep there, and then hopefully, after I'm done sewing every month, I will clean up my scraps. So I don't have all these scraps to deal with at the end of the year, because that would be annoying. And it would keep my sewing room really messy. So if you're doing the declutter challenge with Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilt, she's here on YouTube and on TikTok. Today we're working with taking things out of our sewing room that doesn't belong there. Maybe over the holidays, your sewing room was used as a catch-all. Maybe you're in the dining room or in a closet and things just kind of got put there. My sewing room isn't a catch-all, but I have some, my stuff isn't always put away. Can you grab my food, please? My food was delivered. So that's what it is. You can go check it out. It's called Just Get It Done Quilts Declutter Challenge 2026. And yesterday was garbage, taking out not focusing on tidying up or organizing, focusing on taking out the garbage. So take out any garbage. My garbage has been taken out. So that step's done. As for things that don't belong in the sewing room, I put the laundry away. So my closet is in the sewing room because it's the biggest closet in the house, and I put my clothes away. So everything's done. And I don't normally bring stuff in here that don't belong in here. I say that, but so now that's done. So again, focusing on the picture, make sure your point. Now I wonder if I think I did that backwards. I think these are backwards because now they're backwards. They look right this way. So when you flip them, I think they're wrong. Well, that's interesting. Josie! Oh, okay. I think I did them facing this way when I should have did them facing that way. So these are backwards. Thanks, love. Thanks, love. Okay. I think I made a boo-boo, which is part of learning and why we go live. Then you see that you're not the only one who makes boo-boo. Thank you, sweetheart. Okay, just give me a minute. I'm gonna eat. And I think that's what I did. So I think we have to base it because it's backwards. It's just these two that are wrong. Or are they in the quilt? I don't know. They're in this corner. No. It's this one. No, it's not that. Oh, it might be that, because that would be the center. Yeah. So it's this corner, upper corner block. I just want to start this. I want to start with that. Okay. All right. That's okay. We're not going to panic. We are. We are just going to. Can we do them? I might have to cut more fabric, and I might have to print more of these. But let's just start over. Okay. So this is the fabric side. I was focusing on. I have it almost correct, but I wasn't thinking about reversing it. So I made an error. So if you were watching, you've just made it wrong, same way I did. It happens. So be mindful. Then I made a boo-boo. We're going to redo it. I might have to cut more fabric. So I don't know if I cut any extra, but we'll see. I don't think this fits there. It's too tight. There's no seam allowance. So let's focus on getting this done. Okay. So be mindful. I'm going to make a note. This is the front side. Fabric side. So this was, I said it was 3 and it was actually 2. So this is 2 and this is 3. Everything else is fine, but I don't want to rip them out because that's a lot of work to rip it out and flip them. And they're already trimmed and they're trimmed the wrong way. So they're not going to work anyways. It's easier to just start over. So let's do this again. I will definitely have to cut more fabric, but that's okay. That's just part of doing this. But one doesn't matter because it's the center. A little bit of glue. Place it down. I should have did a sample block. I just didn't have time. Or I shouldn't say I didn't have time. I didn't take the time to make a sample block. Oops. I will do that for next month. I will make a sample block so that I don't mess up in the video. I don't teach you wrong. So I apologize if you made the same mistake I did. I'm very sorry. Maybe you caught it. So this picture here is this way up, not this way up. Okay. So we need to put the 2 needs to be the opposite color. So 2 is dark purple. I'm pretty sure I cut extra dark purples. Okay. Where's my blog? I apologize. I'm sorry. Good day. Where in Canada are you located? Hi, I am in Timmins, Ontario. So Eastern Ontario. I'm about 3.5 hours from Sudbury, 3.5 hours from my home community of Missinabie Cree. I am about 4 hours from North Bay, about 8 hours from Toronto or Ottawa. It's a little mining city. It's a city. Timmins is a city. It's the city with the heart of gold. I don't think it's because the people are nice. I think it's because of all the gold around. And I am known affectionately as the culture with heart of gold. We are making the Possibilities quilt. This is a sew along. You have to have the pattern in order to sew along. If you've been sewing along, I apologize. We messed up. I messed up, and we've rectified it. We're gonna start again. So just make sure, note to self, this picture here on the pattern, the picture is with the fabric side up, not the paper side up. So I made it opposite. But you know what? Life happens. This is what happens. Next time, when we get together with our February sew along, the plan is to have at least one block done. So you know what it looks like. With the holidays and everything, I wasn't able to get anything beyond prepping the fabric. Do you sell your quilts? No. I say no. I have sold quilts. People don't want to pay. People don't want to pay for quilts. People go, "Oh, I'll buy a quilt. How much are they? $100? $200?" And then you say, "Well, that one is 800 or 1600 or," and they went, "Are you kidding me?" And I say, I spent about $600 on material alone for that quilt. And you want to pay me $300? I'm not making any money. I'm losing money. And I always get well, I can go get something like that at Walmart. Well, one, no, you can't. You can't. You can't go get that at Walmart. Because if you could, you would go to Walmart. Okay, I think I did this. Is that along the two? Yeah. So we're going to start a little bit before and go a little bit after. So the original 2 blocks I made are incorrect. I can't use them in this quilt. I can use them in something else. I could have used them as in the era they were made, but I don't want to do that. And do it accurate. So this is foundation paper piecing. And it is the Possabilities quilt by Charisma Horton. I'm showing you how not to sew together, and then I'm showing you how to sew, because I didn't make an error. But we're going to make one complete block. Well, actually, we're going to make 2 complete blocks, and then the rest you'll have to sew on your own. But I will come back throughout the month and sew the rest of my blocks together. And you can sew with me, or, let me know how you're doing. If you have questions, just message me. And if you would like to send me pictures or get some better clarification, I do work for Quilts for Survivors, and our website is www.quiltsforsurvivors.ca. And there's information there on how to get a hold of me, should you need to get a hold of me. And the number for the studio is a cell phone, so you can text it and send pics, should you desire. All right. Okay. We don't give the phone number out on here. Okay, so now, again, now it looks right, because now the purple is on top, and I didn't catch that before. The purple is on top, so that's what we wanted. So now we're going to do 3. Maybe if I had read all of the instructions, I would have seen that, but I'm more of a visual person. So maybe you caught it and you did it correctly. So kudos to you. So now we're going to take our next color, which may not be the same as mine. So you keep track of what color you're using. Okay. I changed out my light blue. I think that's the only one that I really changed out. Or and my, light red might not look like your light red. I used what was in my stash as best as I can. And then I did place an order for some additional fabric. And trying to buy, pick an orange fabric was a little difficult because I was like, is it light? Is it dark? Is it medium? Do I like this color? That color? So I just bought a couple extras so that whatever came in, I could pick. And I use a lot of orange because we make quilts for survivors, and Every Child Matters color is this. Hello? Why are you banging up the stairs? Don't do that. Makes it sound like you're mad or something. So again, using your straight line here, line up your other fabric, right sides together. Put a pin in it. Yes, love. Mommy's teaching a class. What do you want? Whoa.
But the laces need to be fixed. Huh?
Yeah. She said it's fine. Leave her alone. Okay, go. Go back and play. That's beautiful, sweetheart.
Can I eat something?
Yeah. What are you eating? There's popcorn, there's chips, there's
popcorn. No, I can. What's the difference?
No, there's already popped popcorn. Just eat that. I think it's on the table.
Okay.
I don't want you to do it wrong. Okay. So that's done. Again, I use a 1.5 stitch length. I'm stitching right on that line between 1 and 3. And yes, I'm remaining. So I apologize if you also made a boo-boo. I wish maybe it doesn't tell you that these pictures are. Sew the foundation in the color combinations, placement, and amounts indicated. It doesn't tell you that it's, maybe here it tells you. It doesn't really say anything about that this is fabric side up. But that's okay. You know what? We did it. We learned. That's how you learn. We're not going to make that mistake again. Okay, so I take the pin out. I'm trying to put them back in my little pin holder here. So I don't want pins all over the floor. One, I don't want to step on it. And two, I wouldn't want the pets to step on it. And I wouldn't want to lose my pins. I don't want to spend time picking them up. So I'm using a hot iron to press my fabrics. Okay. And then okay, so we're going to do number 4 now, which is the light purple, which we did here. We did do that right. What just happened? I could probably, I could rip it off. I think it's fine. So we're going to do 4. We're going at 2. So we pressed right on the line. Then we're going to trim a 1/4 inch away. I just cut it till it cuts off. Okay. And we're going to use that straight edge as our guide, right sides together. If you're using solids like me, it can be hard to tell. Pin. We're looking at our chart, remembering it's this side that we need to make sure is looking like that, which we did. That one's done. So we're adding piece 4 to piece 1. I need 15 stitches, just lay them flat. press this. And then, light purple. Let's grab the wrong color. Light purple at the bottom. Put a pin in it. I really recommend pinning. Otherwise, those fabrics will just move. And I recommend pinning on the paper side, because that's the side we sew on. So now we're going to stitch. Start over a little before that line between 1 and 4. Now these will be done the correct way. We can move on to the next section. Yes, love.
Okay.
Yes, love. You may. You may. There we go. Okay. So now, these are all done. We'll take our pins out. Again, discarding of them safely. And I also try to keep my area fairly clean and tidy, because you never know. I don't know if there's a comment. I'm sorry. I haven't been looking at the comments. I've been focusing on what I'm doing. No. I try to keep it clean, because sometimes I have the kids at home today. I have to step away. And it's easier to, come back if I keep it fairly clean. Now, it's not perfectly clean, because I had a shelf. I have a shelf. And I have a bunch of bolts of fabric on it, like bolts, 10, 15 yards of fabric, and several bolts. And I think the bolts are too heavy for the shelf. So I have fabric everywhere. Because I've been slowly taking them off of the shelf. I'm going to rearrange my studio space later. I don't know if it's later today or later tomorrow or later next week. I don't know. I'm hoping to get it done before I go back to work on Monday. Friday, what the heck was I thinking? Okay. So now you're going to lay out your piece. We have to make 2 of each, because we need 2 blocks. 6 blocks total is what this month makes. So it is a block of the month. Some block of the months are literally 1 block. This is a block of the month where you're making multiple blocks, but the same block, changing up some of the colors. But we're using one type of foundation paper. Okay. All right. I hope that makes sense. Clear as mud, right? Okay. So this should look like the first block that we made, like the first, remember I don't have orange. So this looks like this with the paper or the fabric side up. We're going to flip it over. This is the wrong side. We're going to flip it over and we're going to trim it. Okay. We're going to trim it to, again, keeping any fabrics that I can cut at least a 1.5 inch square of. I'm not interested in rectangles and all that. That's all I'm just, I'm kind of minimalistic here. Just keep what I can't keep every scrap I ever make. I just cut on those dashed lines. Okay, maybe this will get overwhelming and I won't keep them all. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so there it is. And it's the right piece now. It looks exactly like this one with my colors. So it's not exactly like this one, but it looks like this one based on the colors that I've chosen. So we went from a piece of paper with some rectangles to this funky thing once trimmed to this. And we will rip off the paper, but we won't rip off the paper until we sew it together. I don't recommend sewing it together with the paper on. It gets very difficult. Okay, excuse me. All right, now I realize that I'm doing this kind of early in the day, and some of you might be watching this on YouTube afterwards, because Maybe you had to go to work. That isn't always going to be the case, but I don't work Friday, so I think I might do them on the first Friday of the month if I'm in town. Because I do travel for work sometimes, not often. I try not to go to more than one place a month. Next month, though, I have to go 2 times out of town. Hopefully the kids will at least be with their dad at least one of those times, because it takes a lot out of my caregivers to have everybody there. Okay, so there is the second block. Now these are the same. These are identical. They look how they're supposed to. And if we pressed everything right, it should lay nice and flat. Now this one has a bit of a crease in it, but I think it'll be okay. So these are our 2 blocks. We have to make 4 more. Well, 2 of each, so 6 more. So there's the first block. So we've made this first block here. I do find this a little bit, but we're getting there. Again, I will make a test block for February, hopefully. What is February? I think February is an easier block. Can't mess that one up. This is probably the one we're going to mess up. So I probably have to print a couple more of these in order to finish all of them, but I don't have all my fabric in anyways. So let's make 2 more. All right, because we need 4 altogether to make this middle star here. That's what we're going for. Let's talk nice, please. Okay, so we're gonna press, and I just like to crease it before, especially with these bigger pieces. It helps, and it helps you to know how to lay out your center piece so it's accurate. Our center is always red, a light red. And when you cut the fabric, it tells you in there what it is. And then you just have to look at where it goes. So then this crease, and then this crease. And I will rip off, before I sew my block together, I'm going to rip off the taper. If you are making a comment on TikTok, I might have missed it because I haven't been really looking at it. So you can just re-ask should you want to. Okay, I will have to cut some more fabric. So again, block 1. Now, we have to look. This is going to point this way. So red here. So I'm going to write red. I think this is what I'm going to do. This, because I'm looking at my chart here for this block. This will be dark purple, dark. And this will be white. And then this is light purple. Okay. So this will be dark purple. This isn't going to affect anything writing on here, but it will save me stress. And light purple. Okay. Hi, bunny. All right. So now we're going to take a bit of glue. This is just a Roxanne glue stick. I think I got it in a Sew Sampler box or something. I don't know. That's what I think it came from. We're going to put right sides up. So good side up. We're going to make sure that it covers all those creases that we need. So when I place my fabric, I'm going to make sure I'm covering all of these creases. Okay. Making sure that it covers all of those creases. That's a good reason to put the creases in it so that you can see, okay, there's enough there to get my 1/4 inch seam allowance in all of the areas where I will need it. Then you're going to flip it back. And number 2 is white. So I can even write here white and dark purple and light purple. So dark purple, white, and a light purple. As long as you understand your own, whatever you write on it to tell you, as long as you understand it, you should be good. I think I need this to go up just a little bit. Now that's not a permanent glue stick. So it just tacks it down enough that you Don't mess up. Okay, so we need white. So let's grab 2 white pieces. So I'm using a mixture of Kona solids and Northcott solids. And I don't think I have any other brand here. I can't say for sure. No, some of it is from Fabricland, whatever their solid line is. I have no idea. So some of them are from there. So it may not be, I don't know what brand they have. I don't really buy from them anymore. Not really. Okay. Sorry, just give me a minute here. It's going up. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna lay this out again. Right sides, edges together. Then you're gonna take a pin. You're gonna pin it. Okay, wait, did I do that wrong? I'm just gonna double check and make sure this is supposed to be. I think I messed up. Hang on. This is point. Yes, I did. This isn't correct. So if I place it this way, this is white. This is white here. Okay, I wrote dark purple. That's not dark purple, dark. Okay, wait, I think I messed up here. I want this to be, I'm going to double check, triple check, quadruple check. I want this to be purple. So, this was easier. Made more sense to my brain. Because I had it here and I wrote that is supposed to be dark purple, like this. Well, I guess so. And white would be, I feel like this is backwards. But maybe it's supposed to feel like it's backwards. Because when I place it this way, that's not the right way though. So don't look at that. So don't look at that. You want it to be this way. So that when you flip it, it's pointing that way. No, I think that's wrong. Because that is not white. That is purple. Okay, I'm gonna sew. Okay, let's pin it. Let's give it a pin as close to the edge as we can. And then we're gonna flip it. But see, that's wrong. Yeah, that's wrong. It does need to be white. I'm pretty sure that's white. Let's pin it. I'm going to pin it again close to the edge because I want to flip it over. And it'll look, okay, that'll be fine. I'm pretty sure that's right. It seems like it's backwards or it's wrong, but we're going to leave it and we're going to see. I'm not going to do both of them. I'm going to do this one and I'm going to see if it worked out right. So stitching on that line. Oops, I went a little too far, but it's okay. I'll rip them out. Okay. Oh, I put it on the wrong side. Okay. I'm gonna press it. I hate white fabric, but because you can always see a shadow, and I don't really like it, but that's okay. So now if I place it here, it is pointing, it is in the right area because I want it here. Well, I think I would like if they put what numbers that was, like that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. That would have been helpful, but I don't know. Maybe it's helpful just to figure it out yourself. I don't know. Okay, so let's do the other one because that one's done. So that's white is in section 2. Okay. I almost messed up again. When I corrected myself because I was like, no, this seems wrong. So double, triple, quadruple, whatever you have to do. Is that centered enough? I think so. Okay. Yep. Okay, and then line it up, right sides together. Remember to put the pin on the paper side. It is a little easier if it's on the paper side, because then you know you're not going to run. And I've had them get, interfere with my feed dogs because I pinned it to where the feed dogs are going. Not on purpose. Okay. So stitching down. After I make this block, I will take some questions. So you can always re-ask a question. You can ask me pretty much anything. And I will give you my answer. Again, I don't touch the paper with the iron. I'm just pressing that seam. I find that it works so much better. I'm getting all confused. I'm a beginner quilter, and this moment I would prefer sewing fashion. I'm so sorry. It's not as confused. I mean, I did get myself confused, so it is a little bit confusing, but if we take it one step at a time, we can do this. There are really good instructions in the pattern. I am not going to read out her instructions because it's not my pattern. So you do have to take that into consideration, that I'm limited to how much I can share with you. I can't read her pattern to you. I am not a pattern writer. I'm not a pattern designer. I'm a quilter just like you, and I'm telling you what I'm doing more than based on the pattern or based on my interpretation of the pattern. You have to have the pattern in order to follow along. And I'm doing the best that I know how to do. I've never been taught how to do this other than trial and error. I've never made this quilt before. So I'm learning as we're learning together. I will get better at it as it goes along. And I am sorry if it's confusing. Foundation paper takes a little bit of brain work. I prefer traditional piecing, but I really wanted to make this quilt. I really think that it would be a great quilt. Where did you get your pattern? I think I got it off of Etsy. Or go to Charisma Horton's website. It's probably there. Buy it right from her. And it's a printable PDF downloadable pattern, which you need because you need the foundation papers in order to print it. So again, just bear with me as I learn this pattern with you. I'm giving you instructions based on what works for me. I've made a mistake, which is, those aren't a mistake. I've made a mistake, but that's okay. We're learning, and if you're having trouble following along with me, read the pattern and then maybe come back and see how I'm working on it. It is recorded on YouTube, our YouTube channel, Quilts for Survivors. And survivors are Indigenous survivors of residential school. Just to clarify that, because some people think we're doing other survivors. And just do the best that you can. Okay? Again, I'm not a pattern writer. I'm not a pattern designer. This is not my pattern. I've never made this before, and I'm learning with you. So it's a sew along. It's not really a class. Maybe I should specify that. This is not really a class. It's a sew along. And I'm just telling you how I'm sewing it based on the pattern and my own experience. This is only the second foundation paper pieced quilt I have made. You're welcome. I'm glad that all helps. So that's where we're at. Okay, so let's keep going. We're going to try to make this one star before I lose my mind because it's a little confusing. All of these, now I lost my paper. All of this is a little bit much for my brain because these are fabric side up, but we're working from paper side up. So it has to be opposite. So that's what confuses me. So it is confusing, but once we get it, we're going to get it. And then, of course, you're using probably different fabrics than I'm using. Like your fabric isn't going to be the exact same color as my fabric. So dark purple. I'm not going to use that edge. It's wonky. But it's going to be trimmed anyway, so I'll use the straighter edge. Right sides together. Solids are fairly easy. You don't really have to worry about them. We're making 2 blocks at the same time, which can be confusing to some people. I am going to make 2 blocks at the same time. You do what's best for you. Again, this is a sew along. So I'm going to sew, you're going to sew. It is not necessarily a class. I do teach classes. Thank you. I appreciate you too. It's not necessarily an instructional class. It's a sew along. This is how I'm sewing this project. You sew it the way you want based on how you interpret the instructions. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And you're welcome to be critical. Give me some, constructive criticism on how I can do better. But again, it's not my pattern. And I can't share all of the instructions with you because I don't have permission to do that. Okay, so now we're going to sew between 1 and 3. A little bit before, and then start a little bit before, and sew a little bit after. We are not going to get all of the pieces sewn in the quilt along, in the sew along done today. And I didn't think that we would. Make sure when you pick up your piece, see how mine folded over, that it's not folded over. You can do more pinning if that's helpful, or if you're going to pin and sew later, make sure that you have that everything is where you want it to be when you're going to sew. Because I'm sewing it over. Not a lot, but a couple of times I've done that in past. Okay. And then just a reminder for anyone who's new, who's just joining, this is a sew along. This is not a class. I am not giving I'm going to give as clear instructions as I can based on my own experience, but it's not my pattern. And I'm not a pattern writer. I am just a quilter. I've been quilting for almost 37 years, 36, 37 years. I don't know. And I just love what I get to do. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. Okay?
Oh, done.
You're done what, love?
What is my dishes gonna do?
Okay, now 4, I don't have to worry about 4 because 4 is just one color. So I can do that one really quick and easily. Trimming. Let me see what you made, sweetheart. And we're going to get interrupted by my kids, and that you just have to deal with that. Oh, that's super cute. Where's that from? You didn't get that today, did you?
Yes.
Oh, that's the one you picked up when we were waiting to check out.
Yeah.
Oh, that came in the little bag.
Yeah, I got it where the shopping cart was. The shopping cart was here in this little bag.
Oh, that's where. Okay, cool.
Maybe I should have got 2. Maybe I should have got 2.
Well, too late now.
I could get another one next time.
Well, maybe not. Did you empty the dishwasher? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Did someone hey, Wallace, did someone put the dishes in the sink away? Because they were clean. Can you check for me, please? Yeah, they were clean. The cleaners washed them this morning. Okay, so now we're going to take light purple, which again, I might have to go cut a couple of pieces of fabric there later. And we're just going to line it up. Kind of, you can really look for the center, fold this in half if you want, mark your center, and then really hope that you get it, just center it as best as you can. Eyeball it. I'm lining up those 2 raw edges and then right sides together and give it a pull. Pin it, make sure it's ready to go. Now we're going to do the second one, which we've already trimmed. I should close the cutter. And then we're going to just eyeball it because it's going to go in the middle. What you want to make sure is that when you flip this over after sewing it, that it covers all the section that you needed to cover. So based on this we need it to cover where all these solid lines are. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. So we need a, hi, bunny. What's the matter? You look funny laying like that. Are you okay? I guess she's okay. She just looks funny because she wasn't laying on, there's a mat over there for her and she wasn't laying on the mat. She put her head on the mat. Okay, so start a little bit before. Using a 1.5 stitch length is what I've heard is recommended. Again, you know what's best for you. Again, this is not a class. This is a sew along. I just happen to sew it live and show you how I sew it. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to get confused. I'm going to just go, get frustrated maybe. I try not to, but sometimes I am only human. I'm not perfect. So just keep those in mind when you're sewing along. Okay? And I guess I should have made that a little clearer at the beginning. That this isn't a teaching class. This is more of a, this is how I'm going to make this quilt. And you can sew along with me. I do teach a class through Quilts for Survivors once a month on Zoom. There's nowhere else you can find that. So if you want an actual step-by-step clear instructions, that's where you need to, that's where I do that. Okay. So it's not a class. So now this is done. Now, to confirm that I have all my pieces in the right order, I need to look at it fabric side up. I need to look at my, I'm making the second one here. I need to look at that and go, it's pointed this way, white, purple, and light purple. Perfect. That's what I needed to do. So it was it is a little confusing because this is fabric side up, not paper side up, because then it'll be wrong. It's fabric side up. But we're going to trim. This is the back. These are all the front of your block. Okay. Now we're going to trim it on the dotted lines. You can use a straight ruler. You can use, well, any ruler that will go from there to there. And I'm keeping all my little turkey scraps. I'm not keeping the paper. Again, I'm cutting with my regular rotary blade. I'll just change it if it gets dull. Not too worried about it. So again, trimming, you could use a rotating mat for this if you like. I don't seem to be having any issues, so I'm not too worried. I am throwing my scraps on a mat here, on a little tray. I don't know if I'm going to keep them or not. I haven't decided. Well, I've decided I think I'm going to try to cut 1.5 inch squares out of it, but if that gets chaotic, I may just say farewell. So now I'm going to look again. Yes, it looks, so my piece looks like this picture, and that's what I wanted. I wanted all these colors in the right order that they're in. So again, these pictures are fabric side up, the right side, the part that you see. When I first made them, I was making them incorrect. And just a reminder, this is a sew along, it's not a class. So although you're hopefully learning something, we're going to make these together and we're going to learn it together. So I have never done this before. I mean, I've done foundation paper. I can read the instructions, I can follow instructions. But as we've witnessed, I can make mistakes just like anybody else. I'm making a roast today. It's in the slow cooker. It was done. It's actually done. Ooh. Are you guys okay? Hello? Are you okay? All right. So, I wanted to remind you that I do have 2 small children in the house, Wallace and Jose. They are 10 and 8, and they come in to the space and they talk, and I don't kick them out. mom first. Gotta be, I have people who count on me, so I gotta make sure that they have what they need. So both of my blocks turned out the exact same way, which is what I want, because I'm making 2 blocks, 2 full blocks with 4 pieces. So I need 2 of each little quadrant. So we've made this quadrant and then this quadrant. So there's block 1 and block 2, and they go together like this. So there's the purples are matching up, and then the light purples are matching up down here. And the outer parts are based on where they fit into the overall quilt block. So if it's confusing because you've got all these outer borders that are different colors, outer pieces that are different colors, it's based on where it goes in the quilt. And it'll make sense when we put it into the quilt. I hope that makes sense. Okay. So all of this is on YouTube. The beginning 40 minutes is me making a mistake, but you know what? It's all good. Okay. So those are done. Now we're going to make 2 more. I am going to try to make, oh shoot, I almost threw it away. I'm just going to cut this off. Actually, let's just take the ruler and cut it off that way. Okay. Okay, now remember, fabric side is the right side. So here, let's press these first. It's the same piece that we just used, but we're going to change up where some of the color placement is. Okay. I think the only thing that stays the same is 1 and 4. It's 2 and 3 that change up. Okay, so I just group these. This helps us know too where to put that first piece. That light red is the color. All of this is in the pattern. Again, I'm just showing you how I'm sewing it together. I'm making mistakes. I'm learning. Thank you for the likes. Don't forget to like and follow. Go on YouTube and subscribe so that you have what you need if you miss a class, if you miss a tutorial here on TikTok. TikTok doesn't keep them. They'll keep sections, but they won't keep the whole video. Okay? So there's some information for you. So we're going to do it again, different colors. Hello. Oh, shit. Yes, it's me. I'm still on TikTok and YouTube, but I'm talking. Okay, cool. Perfect, perfect. Me too, but I made a mistake, and so I had to redo it, and it's not as easy as I thought it would be. Okay, their roast smells amazing, by the way. Pal smells like garlic. I know it smells so good. Okay, babe. All right, love you. Bye. Okay. All right, and then I'm gonna get phone calls. I won't always answer the phone, but I usually answer it if my mom, one of my kids, or my boyfriend calls. So those are the people that I usually answer. Sometimes I'll mute just so you don't hear the conversation, but I usually just let them know, hey, I'm still live. So we've been at it for over an hour. I thought we would be done, at least partially done, but this is a little bit more confusing than I thought. Next month is easier. I've already looked ahead. It's all the same background fabric. It'll just be a little less intense. This is a little nutsy, and I feel like it's a little nutsy. Okay, so I'm gonna put on the light reds. We're gonna do 2 of those. So we're gonna flip these over. We're gonna put some glue in the center. Now again, not instructional, more of a demonstration of what I'm doing. Now, you can see here all the creased lines. I want to make sure I have at least a 1/4 inch overhang on all 4 sides. with those creased lines. Okay? Okay. So again, overhang, there we go. Pressing that down, getting it nice. Okay, that just tacks it. It usually doesn't hold very well. And usually, at least in my experience, I don't know if it's just this glue stick that does it, but it seems to come off well, and I don't usually have any paper stuck to my fabric. I don't know if all glue does that. All like, even if you got like a school glue gun, I don't know. But that's what I found. That it helps. And you can get, yeah, you don't need a permanent glue. You just need something to hold it together. So now, looking at the picture, knowing that this is the fabric side up, I like to take it and turn it so that I know. So I want the julep here. That's the name of the fabric. This is white down here. And then this is light purple. So again, with my point, I'm looking at the picture, looking at where they have their point, that little point, because it's I don't remember what kind of triangle it is, because it's not an equilateral. It doesn't have that. It's a different, anyways, it doesn't matter. So julep, white, and light purple. It will feel backwards when we make it, but it'll work out. That's what we want. So that's what I'm going to do from now on is I'm going to mark the colors that go there based on making sure that my point is going in the right corner and then following the pattern. So two is julep. So we're going to trim this 1/4 inch. The rotary cutter 1/4 inch. Then we're going to take our color that we need. You use the color that you've picked for that area, and I picked mine. Then you're going to take a pin. Again, I really recommend at least one pin. You could put more. And then making sure that you have no folds when you get ready to sew it. Okay, I hope everyone's following along. Laura or Missy, if you're still on because you've done this with me before, let me know how it's going. Because we've done this before together. And Laura's been with me a lot. So let me know how it's going. And yes, it is confusing because foundation paper is a little bit confusing. It just is. It's difficult. A lot of people do not like it. So don't feel bad if you're like, I don't want to make that. Right sides together. Flip it over. Put a pin in it. I don't know if they're on. There's nobody commenting over there. And there's no comments on YouTube that I can see. I started with the block that has 2 purples, so it's going okay for me. Okay, great. There's this block here that has 2 purples with orange on the bottom. Same concept. So that's okay. So when you get to the next one, just be mindful that you use the fabric side of the paper, the wrong side of the paper, so that you can match up your pieces. So that's good. I didn't start with this block because I don't have any orange. That's all. So thanks, Laura. That's good to know. All right, so let's stitch. Again, I'm going to make 2 of these blocks. And we will call it a day. So this is the 3rd section. I think I'll be okay. I think it'll go a little faster now that I know what the heck I'm doing. So stitch a little bit off, cut your threads. You cannot, at least I don't think you can chain piece because you'd be sewing all the way along all that paper. It's kind of a waste. You do have to cut from the Okay. I also want to cut and sew my second block in my 100 modern blocks. I'm working on the book. I don't know where to put it right now, but I want to. This table is very light. I move it all the time. Okay, so we're going to press this nice and flat. There's a little bit of selvage on this piece of light green fabric here, but it's out of the seam allowance area, so it doesn't matter. You're not going to see it. It'll just get trimmed off. Not too worried. Not that I intended to do that. I thought I had cut all my selvages off, but it's fine. Okay. So we've got piece 2 on. Now again, if we want to check it, we want to make sure it's pointed in the right direction. And then we look to confirm. Yep, everything's going the way it's supposed to. So this is, what was that? What was that? I don't know what scared me, sweetheart. The dog's in here. She's a little pom. She's 11 months old on the 28th. She was 11 months. Oh my gosh. No, 10 months. Sorry, she's 10 months old now. She'll be a year at the end of next month. Okay, so we folded, we creased along 1 and 3. We're going to set our 1/4-inch seam and we're going to cut it. So trim, voila, voila. And then you're going to take white. It says white. So we're going to take white and we're going to line it up and we're going to pin it. We're going to pin it. All right. So perfect, perfect. I think I'm glad that I started with a more difficult one. Because if I had to start with just purple on both sides, I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I would have caught on that was the wrong way. You know what I mean? Okay. But hopefully we won't run into any more issues. So again, cut it. You can have a nice straight line, right sides together, and give it a pin. It's gonna be great. I could put, oh no, it's fine. If you ever wonder if you have enough for an overhang, hold it up to the light. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see through it, through the paper, and you can see if you have enough for a seam allowance over there, if you're ever questioning it. So now we're going to stitch down on that line between 1 and 3. This one's going a little faster. Because, we've done this a few times now. So follow the instructions on how many you need to make of each block and how all of that. I'm gonna show you how to put it together. Just want to make sure nothing's folded, okay? What? So like half my lunch there, but I'll eat it up. We're going to take a short break. Actually, yeah. After we're done this, we'll take a short break. You can ask some questions. Let me know how you're doing. And then we'll make the final one. I'll take a short break. Like I said, my dinner's already was done. It smells really good in here. It's a roast, and there was lots of garlic in it. Maybe I put too much. I don't think too much. Lots of garlic. You have to infuse the garlic into the roast, which was really nice. I think it'll be great. Okay. So now to confirm that I've done it the right way, on my 4th, so almost ready to sew them together. Oh, perfect. Woo. Way to go. Oh, wait, sorry, there was a thing there. That's wonderful. Great. Awesome. Okay, again, this is a sew along, not a class. So just bear with me. So looking at my paper, looking at this one here, you're going to point it down so that your tip of your triangle, this point here, is pointing the way it's pointing on the picture. So we have the right color here based on my colors and the right color here. Also remember that, based on my colors. The only color that I changed was the light blue. I'm using this green color, this julep. Julep. That's actually the name of the color solid. That one's cut. So again, this is foundation paper, pleats between 1 and 4. Use your 1/4 inch, do a 1/4 inch, whether you're using just add a 1/4 inch or using a regular ruler. trim so you have a 1/4 inch. And then you're going to take your color that you need. I do need to go cut some more in order to make the next one. And you're going to pin it. Highly recommend pinning, and I am not a pinner. Take your other one. And then, so this isn't hard. It's confusing because you're kind of working from the back of the block, but you have to lay the fabric out based on what it's going to be on the front of the quilt. So it's a little bit, it can be a little bit overwhelming, but it's not too bad. So we're going to stitch these down, and then we're done our 3rd block. It would have been done, but you know, I have to keep life interesting. I made a mistake. I apologize to anyone else who made a mistake. But maybe you're doing what Laura's doing and you started with the easier block. Which is purple on both sides. So it didn't matter if you put purple at 2 or 3 because they're both the same purple. But you know, if you did that, then you're going to be set for the next when you do the other one, you'll be set. Because you already know what not to do. Okay. Let's go and press. And yes, I'm using an iron. Yes, there's paper. I am not touching the paper with the iron. I am simply, I just find it easier. And these are big pieces. They're very big pieces. Okay. So let's lay this down. And we're going to trim it out now. So you're going to trim it. There's no size in there, but you're going to trim it on these stitch lines here, on these, whatever they're called. What was I going to call them? The dashed lines. That's what I wanted to say. I didn't cut very straight. All right. You can use a square ruler. You can use just a straight ruler, as long as it is long enough to cut, to line it up so that you can cut a nice clean line without having to move your ruler. All right, there we go. So you can grab, I'm keeping the fabric, the bigger pieces, and the smaller pieces, I'm just going to break those into the garbage, which I'm put right down there. Oh, this is the other one. Okay. So making sure that all our fabric is pressed nice and laying nice and flat. So if you don't want to use that, which actually is kind of confusing, but it's just long enough, grab a ruler, a longer ruler. So anything that's longer than what you need to cut, and then trim on, oops, what happened if it was open? Trim on the dotted line. This is actually easier than the other one because it's too close to what I need it to be. So this is definitely much easier to trim it with. I thought I could trim like all the way around with the square one, but I can't because it's smaller than the ruler. But that's okay. All right, so now I'm going to take all the fabric that I want to keep out. Again, I'm not sure. I don't think that's big enough to even bother. Let's see. Nope, can't get a 1.5 inch square of this. Push that off the edge into the garbage. Some of it might land on the floor, but most of it's landing in the garbage. Okay. So again, here is our 3rd piece. We will look to make sure that we did it correctly. Face it the way it's showing in the picture, and then confirming that everything is done correctly. So now this is the bottom left. This is the top, wait. This is the top. What am I doing? Oh, I totally confused myself. Okay. This goes like this. There we go. So we just have to make this one last section. So I'm going to just pause for a moment because I have to cut some more of this light purple and the light red. So I'm going to go cut those. Those are, what were they cut? I'm going to find my cutting instructions. I can't tell you. It's on my pattern. I think they're on this page. Light red, 5 by 7.5. 5 by 7.5. So leave that there. I think I have my fabric out here. I think I have something that I can cut. Light red, and I need the light purple, which I can grab. I have enough of the other colors. Oops. Okay. So I'm going to cut these. And that is not wide enough. This is supposed to be, no. This is supposed to be, what is this supposed to be? Light red. It is supposed to be light red. Why did I do that? No, that's not wide. That's not wide. So I'm going to get a different ruler so I can cut it. Ow. Ah. So we had a big snowstorm there. I'm just cutting some extra fabric because I had made a mistake. And they are still, there's, they're trying to get ahead with all the snow plowing and everything, but the roads are crap. And how big is this supposed to be? My purple. So it's a little crazy out there. This is okay. It's a little crazy out there. And then I guess because of the storm, they couldn't do all the garbage, and they still haven't picked up my garbage. Not just me, but our area. So they're really getting behind in a lot of different things. So it must be frustrating. I'm sure people are complaining to the city, and you know what? It is what it is. Okay, so we're going to make this next section again 2 foundation paper pieces because we're making 2 blocks. So let's put those back. We're going to make 2 more blocks, then I'll sew one or both together, and then we will call it a jig because this is getting long. And like I said, what state are you in? I am in Canada. I am in Timmins, Ontario, Canada. Eastern Ontario. I am 8 hours north of Toronto and 8 hours northwest of Ottawa, kind of. Northwest. Ottawa's east. Yeah, so that's where I'm located. Those are the 2 big cities. I'm 10 hours from Thunder Bay, if you know where that is. Close to the Quebec border. Depending on how you get out of Timmins, the Quebec border is not that far away. Okay. Okay, so what I did was I creased all my lines. So where 1 joins 2 and 1 joins 3 and 1 joins 4. I creased all those lines. That helps me center my center block. Okay, the fabric that's going to go in the center of my block. It helps me to ensure that I place it in the center because I want to make sure that I have a 1/4 inch over all the seams, which is these crease lines. That's where my seam is going to be. So I put a little dollop of glue. This is just a glue stick. It's made for fabric. This is just what it's called. I don't know where I got it from. Best guess is that I got it from a sew sample. So right sides up. This is solid fabric, so sometimes it's hard to tell. Right sides up. I've never really had the paper stick to the fabric. So just making sure, if you need to check, you can hold it up to the light and see if you have enough for a seam allowance all the way around. Then we need to figure out which direction. So based on the picture in the pattern, this is the Possibilities quilt by Charisma Horton. It is a very gentle foundation paper pieced pattern. Why does she want to do that? Why? Okay, so you're gonna look at the picture. This is with the fabric up, so not based on this pattern. You're gonna base it on fabric side up. You want to point. Okay, so you're gonna point that down because that's where we want it, and then you're gonna, oh, this one's easy. It's white on both sides. It's white on both sides. I can do that. And then it's light purple over here, light purple. White on both sides, super easy. Okay, can't mess this up. White on both sides. Do 1 and 2, and then 1 and 3. So you always go in numerical order when you're doing foundation paper. In some cases, like in this case, 2 and 3 do not overlap. Except up here they get kind of close, but always just follow the order that they say, because that's right, a right sides together with the fabric. And okay. I need to trim this. Okay, we're gonna do 1 and 2. Trim again. We've done this several times, so you should understand what I'm doing without me explaining it, hopefully. Because we're just making the same one. The hardest part of this is making sure you're putting the correct fabric in the correct spot. Okay, so we're going to stitch on that line, right on that line. Stitch in. I'm going to do it again, making sure that nothing, sometimes these will pull, and if you start sewing, you're going to make a mess. Okay, we're going to stitch down. Cut. I've already talked to him. I don't know why. Anyways, sorry, that has to do with work. I have talked to him. I don't know why she's saying I haven't talked to him. Okay, so we've got white on 1 to 2. Now we're going to put white on 1 to 1 on in section 3. So crease, cut, place our white, three here. Like this. And then like this. Okay, so we're going to stitch down a little bit before, a little bit after. This one is a little easier because it's all white fabric on both sides. You don't have to overthink it. So that makes it nice and fun. And again, you need the pattern in order to sew along. It's not my pattern. It's not my instruction. I'm sewing it the same as you are. And I've never made this before. I know I said that a few times, but I just want to let you know that we're doing this together. We're learning this together. I'm doing it because someone had wanted me to do more foundation paper in my sewing. So here I am. Now I'm not going to get all the blocks I need made today. No way. I mean, maybe if I just neglected everybody and everything, but no. It's Friday night. It's family night. We're going to spend time together as a family. That's what you do. So we're going to take our light purple, stick it in the position 4. Again, we've done this a few times. I'm not going to give you all the instructions. The instructions are in the pattern. It's the Possibilities quilt by Charisma Horton. And it's a block of the month. It is multiple blocks in the month. It is one block we make multiple times in different colors. Okay. Some block of the months are literally one block. You make one of each block. Sometimes it's like this, where you make multiples of the same block. This is definitely easier than a river runs through it quilt. Let me tell you that. Me trying to tell you how to sew that one, I was so confused. Look up that quilt. If you ever are looking for a quilt, if you want to know the hardest quilt I've ever made thus far, a ribbon runs through it. Actually, a really good friend of mine who's a quilter, a good quilter, she was like, "You don't have to finish this quilt." I'm like, "Yes, I do. I bought the kit. We're making it." And it took me a really long time to make it. But once I got the hang of it, it went really well. And I think that's the key here with this type of quilt with foundation paper, is once you get the hang of it, you will be like, "Oh, that's not as bad as I thought," because you'll get the hang of it. Okay. You need to go outside and play for a little bit. Yes, please. Why not? It's nice out. Too bad. Okay, you can play in the front and climb the mountains out there. Yep. Just tell him Mom said to go outside for a bit. Okay, you're gonna trim along the dashed lines. I'm not too worried about this one because both 2 and 3 were the same color. So much easier. Definitely a little nicer to go together. We should have started with that. But then we wouldn't have made them we probably still wouldn't have made the mistake. But that's okay. That's how I learned. I've made it. You've seen it. You know what to do. I still have, when I sew these together, I will have made this block right here. Okay, this one here. I still have to make 2 of these and 2 of these. This one won't be so bad because they're purple on both sides. Simple. This one will still have a bit of the confusion that I had with this one, but now that I know what I'm doing, I shouldn't be too confused about it. I should be able to just do it. So it shouldn't be so bad. And I'll do those later sometime in the month. And I'll probably do them live on TikTok, not necessarily back on YouTube, but maybe I might start using YouTube more, but we'll see. We'll see how it all goes. Okay. And nothing is edited, so you'll see. Everything that I do, I don't think that's you can just go outside for a little bit, sweetheart. He has to. It's the rules. Tell him too bad. I'll talk to him. I'm almost done here anyways. It's fine. Just get ready to go. He won't be in your way if you get ready to go now. You can play in the front. Dave's not back yet, so you can play in the driveway a little bit. Because Mom's car's out of the way. Okay. So now we have our fourth and final section of this particular block. We have to make 2 of this block, 2 of this block, and 2 of this block. We've made 2 of this block right here in the middle. Okay. All right. So we're going to lay them out again. That light purple always going to the center of our, I'm going to call it a star. I think it's a star. So the background here is the 2 and 3. Those are based on where they are positioned within the quilt. So it may seem confusing to you as why do I have purple up here and this color here and white everywhere else? It's based on where it goes in the quilt. This will be a 12-inch block, 12 and a half. That's what it says, 12 and a half. So we're going, now what you have to do is you can sew it together. I don't like to sew the paper together because it is a pain in the butt. A pain. It is a pain to rip off when you have that stitch line. It is a pain. So I'm going to rip off. I don't recommend ripping off the paper until you're going to sew the block together. There's a lot of bias seams here, and it could just, you might, your block, I don't know if it's going to distort a lot. I don't know for sure because I'm not an expert. But it could. I've heard other people say that, so I'm sharing knowledge that I have from there. So there's one, and then I'm going to do this one. Then I'm going to sew them together. This will also keep me from making a big mistake. And I would prefer my blocks sewn together and no paper. I don't want to, in December, I don't want to rip paper off of all of my blocks. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to rip as we go. You do whatever's best for you, but I think it's best to make the blocks and have no paper on them. And then I'll hang them up the way I normally do. Don't forget to like and share. Don't forget to go over to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. You'll really help us out. Anything that we get, that I get for doing any of this, it's for the studio, Quilts for Survivors. So go check out our YouTube channel. Oh, I can up my stitch length back to whatever I normally stitch with. Whatever you normally stitch with, you can sew it together with that stitch length. My machine defaults to 2.5, so that's what I normally sew for. All right. All right, so that's done. Now we can chain piece again. Oh, my favorite, chain piecing. So now, Wallace! Sorry, gotta, I'm upstairs. Wallace is in the basement. I wish my house was just a little bigger and I could have my sewing room on the main floor and just have bedrooms up on the second floor. But my house isn't big enough to do that. I used to sew on the main floor, but I didn't have enough room. I was off the kitchen, and if I was cooking, things would, you have to put that's what I hated, was I had to put everything away. I was just a little space in the kitchen. It worked, but this is better. If I can just close the door and everything is left here. I would love to have, I don't know, how some houses have like a formal dining room with like French doors. I'd love that to be my sewing room, and then just close the French doors and you can still see in it, but the cats can't get in it if I'm not in there. And that is sticking a little bit, but that's okay. And also with the last one I just did, so it could be just sticking because it hasn't had time to unstick. So just ripping all that paper off. Your stitch length is small enough, 1.5. It's not going to rip your stitches out. That's why we do such a small stitch length, so it doesn't rip stitches out. I'm just going to line it up. Go down. I'm gonna sew. Sometimes I sew a bonus block. I'm just going to sew a scrap. I don't have any bonus blocks cut to sew yet, so that's what we're going to do. Where's your brother? Wallace! I realize that they don't want to go outside, but I think they could do with some fresh air. Okay, so we're going to line this up, making sure that you're sewing on the right side, that all your light purples are going together, because that's the center of this beautiful star. I don't know what kind of star. It probably has a name. I don't know if she's named it. No, it just says month 1. Doesn't have like a name for the block that I can sell. It's just a fun block. And the nice thing about doing foundation paper piecing is you can do smaller pieces. Sometimes your piece is really like it's smaller than an inch or something. It's hard to do that with piecing, but with foundation, you can. I don't know how all that works, but that's how it works. So we're going to set that seam and we're going to roll it back. Oh, it's so pretty. Now I'm only going to sew one together because it is getting late and I do have some things that I need to do as a mom, and all those things that I need to do as the person I am. But I do have one together to show you. So you're going to make 2 of these, 2 with orange in the center, green and purple, and then 2 with I don't know, a yellow, I think, yellow star points. And the center is, I don't even remember what the center is, pink or something. Okay. So there's our beautiful blog. It should be 12.5 by 12.5. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. And please go over to our YouTube channel, Quilts for Survivors. Like, subscribe, and share. It helps with the algorithm, is what I was told to say. And it helps other people find us. And I will be sewing more of these blocks together later throughout the month. I just have to, we've been on for a little bit, so it's quite a long episode. But thank you for sticking around and for sewing along. Again, it's the Possibilities quilt. We're going to be sewing along. We're going to make at least one block every month together here as a sew along, not necessarily a class. And I'll show you how I do it. And then you can join along, and then I'll make the other pieces throughout the month. And I'll probably do those live here on TikTok. Happy New Year to you too. I hope you have a wonderful, awesome, here, I guess I should show you my face. A wonderful, awesome rest of your day. It is the weekend, so I'm looking forward to, getting all the things I need to get done before I go back to work, like putting the decorations away and relaxing a little bit. I'm hanging out with the kids before school and all that kind of fun stuff. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for joining in. We made a beautiful block today. I don't know the name of this block, but it's a really fun star block. Stars are one of my favorite blocks to make. I think it looks awesome. I'm glad there was a few little hiccups in it, but we went from a piece of paper to fun blocks to one of several blocks in our beautiful quilt. So we'll finish this quilt in December of 2026. How amazing is that? So again, have a wonderful rest of your Friday. And remember every day to do something that brings you joy. And I hope that you had a wonderful holiday season and that you're ready to embrace all the greatness that 2026 holds for you. That's what I'm going to do. I have a very positive outlook on life, and it served me well in the past. So I think I'm looking forward to a really fun and adventurous new year. I read a post the other day about living life, not surviving. And I have been, I've survived a lot in my life, and I'm ready to just live and enjoy all that Creator has for me and for my family. So thanks again. Thank you. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and enjoy, find joy. Find something every day that brings you joy and do that. And for me, that's quilting most of the time. Sometimes it's frustrating, but there's always something beautiful that comes out of it. And that's life, right? We take scraps and we can make something beautiful out of what we've been given. So thank you again. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, Chini Witch.